Constructive Criticism is sponsored by Oasis Games. MTGOasis.com is the place to get cards for your next Magic event. Try them out with code CCMTG for 15% off of your first order, and use the code WouldThatBeGood for 4% off of every order. Want to support the show directly? Head on over to patreon.com/CCMTG to check out some awesome benefits and future goals for the show. Thanks for listening, and here's this week's episode of Constructed Criticism. Hello everyone, and welcome to a video on the Constructive Criticism YouTube channel. I'm Spencer, I'm the host of Constructive Criticism, and I'm excited today to come back to Wednesday Night Warrior. I'm going to talk about something that I think is really important in improving at Magic the Gathering. So today I want to talk about something that we've kind of talked about on Constructive Criticism a couple of times, and if you listen to the Even Odds podcast, you hear Mason Clark say it all the time. And I was thinking about kind of my woes of MTG Arena and the things that I do sometimes that cause myself to lose when I think I'm favored or when I shouldn't be losing. And it just kept coming back to being an active participant in my games. And this is something that I had talked about on the show a long time ago that I think that some of our listeners really held on to. And I think that also they think that it only applies to when you're in a game, you're playing your game, and that's it. Like, just making sure that you're a part of that game. And that's a really important part of it. But I want to go over what I mean when I talk about being an active participant as a whole. So, before you do that, don't forget you can go to patreon.com/ccmtg to become a patron of the to become a patron of the show, the YouTube channel. It's really helpful to us. If this content is helping you improve at Magic the Gathering, please head on over there. Just starting at $1 a month. If everybody who just listens or watches just donates $1 per month, it really does change my life in a real meaningful way, as well as the people around me that make this awesome content for you. So let's go over really quickly what being an active participant is. So it's pretty often when you're playing on Magic Online, or even sometimes when you're watching opponents' games next to you at a paper event, that you don't actually spend the time to be in your game or in your match, and instead you're focusing on these things outside. Maybe you're listening to music, maybe you're watching a TV show, maybe you're doing something other than playing the match that you're involved in. And so one of the things that we like to preach is that if you're going to get better, you're going to apply the things that are going to help you improve the game throughout time and throughout the time is a valuable resource, right? So if you're not using your time to get better, sometimes it can be a waste. That's not always true. Sometimes you're playing Magic because Magic's a really fun game, right? And you just want to play. And that's okay. And that's a separate thing than when you're trying to improve, than when you're trying to achieve a goal, things like that. To me, those are different things. And when you're trying to do the important things, right, the getting better, applying a lesson, things like that, it's important to be involved in that and to be attentive. Because it's really easy not to be attentive. It's really easy to go watch an episode of Hunter x Hunter or an episode of Friends or something like that while you're playing a game on Arena or Magic Online. It's really easy to be listening to an audiobook or to be doing something else. But just like if you were listening to that audiobook or listening to the podcast or whatever you're doing, it's really likely that you're going to miss something of that thing that you're doing because you're playing Magic Online or Arena or, doing something else. And it also works in reverse. You're going to miss something in your game because you're doing that other thing. And it's important in a few ways that we recognize that. One, it's important that we recognize it because if we don't internalize things and think, why am I doing this? What is the effect of this? Then it just gets lost. The other thing is that you'll find faster improvement the other way. You'll find faster improvement by being a part of that game, participating in games and matches. And then I think the other thing that's separate from that is actually being a participant in your own improvement. When you think about, okay, I'm really bad. So for a really good example of this actually is me playing aggro decks recently. I've been trying to play more aggro decks. I've gotten really comfortable with control decks and mid-range decks, ramp decks. And I've tried to focus on understanding the value of a creature in a matchup with aggro, understanding which turns are important with an aggro deck, when to push, when to hold back, when to take a turn off to play my Venerated Loxodon, things like that. And in doing that, and being methodical and thoughtful in those decisions, it really helps me take stock into what did I learn, how did I improve. You know what's interesting is that lately I've been playing a lot of this game called Super Smash Bros. So if you haven't heard of that game somehow, you should check it out. But it's really easy to see improvements in that game because you start to be able to do things that you know you want to do. It's in when you watch somebody play Smash, you can see them do things, and you're like, oh, that was sweet. That was a good read. That was something that I can learn to do. And then as you start to practice and start to apply lessons you've learned, it becomes easier and easier to see progress. And in Magic, it's a little bit harder because sometimes you get unlucky. Sometimes the situation doesn't come up in a game. And in Smash, it's not like that. But one of the things that Magic does offer you is this thoughtful experience where you can apply lessons broadly throughout matches, a little bit different than a micro or macro setting, uh, and being able to participate in those things is really important. If you listen to John talk on constructive criticism, he does this all the time. Like he talks about what his goal is before he jumps into a league, and then goes into that league and tries to improve at Magic the Gathering. And he does it with a single focus in mind, so that he knows what he's trying to do and accomplish and get better at that moment. And when you do that, I think that it expedites the process. Rather than just jumping in and playing a league and say, what did I learn? It's, okay, I'm going to jump into the league with this purpose. What am I going to learn? And that makes Magic easier in a way that if you think about something like Super Smash Bros. Or if you think about something like chess, right? Where you're focusing on micro things that you can then apply, move on to the next thing. You should be able to do that in Magic too. Not everything is this broad spectrum that you just suddenly understand card advantage. You suddenly understand this thing. Some things are, I need to get better at this and understand this and why I'm doing this. Uh, just like we talked about with the Venerated Loxodon. Why am I playing my Venerated Loxodon? When am I doing it? What is the sequence here? Why? What am I thinking about when I'm doing that? And so if I go into a tournament or a event here on Magic Arena, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to learn how to play Venerated Loxodon in these next 3 events. Right? I got 50 matches. Let's go learn how to do it. That's good. That's like focused practice, something that can help you. You can get it done quickly, and then you have that in your pocket. You have that as something that you've improved at, that you actively took a participation in understanding what are the things I'm trying to improve upon and how am I going to do it. And when you do that in conjunction with the thing that we talked about earlier of trying to improve, trying to get better, it's really, really important. So I think if we kind of break it down into a couple of pieces, we have be a part of what you're doing. So let that be in game. If I'm playing a game of Magic and I'm trying to get better, I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to win, I need to be a part of that game. I don't need to be a part of the judge call to the right unless asked. I don't need to be a part of anything but what's in front of me. Why am I playing this game? What is happening in this game? And what is it about? Be a part of your own improvement. Why am I playing this event? Am I trying to win this event? Am I trying to learn about the Venerated Loxodon sequencing? Am I trying to learn about how good Find Finality is in this deck? Am I trying to decide whether I want to play Incubation Druid over something like Wild Growth Walker? Be a part of the decisions that you're making and understand why you're making them. And then once you've done that, you go back, you take stock in what you've done, and you assess. And then you rinse and repeat. And I think when you do that, you'll find Magic gets easier to improve at. You start taking stock in what you're doing, and it becomes this process that's easy to replicate, rather than throwing something against the wall and just trying to get better without knowing how you're going to do it. And I think that once you do that, and once you decide that that's how you're going to do it, you'll find yourself top 8ing more PTQs or MCQs. You'll find yourself winning more matches on ladder. And when you do that, the world is your oyster. You can do anything. So that's it for this week. That's my thoughts on being an active participant in Magic. Leave a comment. Let me know about things that you've done to try and become an active participant. Help the people that are trying to get better at Magic in the comment section. So Thank you everybody so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out Patreon. You can also go to the swag store at constructivecriticism.com. If you buy a t-shirt or something like that, it actually goes directly into our pockets. Just a couple bucks, and it means the world to us. And, show other people that you're trying to get better at Magic the Gathering by wearing that Constructive Criticism shirt. So thank you everybody so much, and we'll see you guys all next week with another Wednesday Night Warrior or another video here on the YouTube channel.